Tom marveled at the sheer size of the structure. 400,000 square feet is what the brochure posted. He took a moment to take it all in. Someday, this'll all be mine, he thought to himself. The overambitious thought caused a slight grin to stretch across his face. Tom was overwhelmed with a sense of achievement. He had recently reached a turning point in his prior career and found himself unsure of his life. The only thing he was sure of is he did not want to be a paramedic anymore. He didn't want to see dead bodies anymore. He did not want to see another dead child or hear the screams of loved ones torn from each other for eternity. He retired early and took some time off to explore life and find out what else the world had to offer. After a few long and well-deserved vacations, he decided to seek a local job center to find something else meaningful to do with his life. 6 months after that, he found himself employed at one of America's largest manufacturing facilities. It was a facility that was world-renowned and socially acceptable in literally every household in America and a third of the rest of the globe. GMHI was the world's largest packaging facility. It handled and packaged literally thousands of common household items you would see and use every day. They made vacuum-sealed packages for batteries, cameras, USB thumb drives, pens, packs of paper, CDs, bulk clear tape dispensers, and the list goes on and on. Tom began to focus on the manufacturing industry in general, while searching for a new career after a friend suggested he give it a try. The manufacturing world was a lot more interesting than Tom had ever imagined. It was a world filled with amazing devices, commonly used to heat, cool, rip, cut, shear, do anything imaginable. He watched video after video of different manufacturing processes. He took tours of local manufacturing facilities that he didn't even know existed in his own town. Finally, he met with an older man named John Brighton, who was himself a retired machine operator at a packaging company called GMHI. John was attending the same job center after realizing life after retirement was a bit boring. He and Tom hit it off from the beginning and swapped stories about previous jobs and life in general. After hearing John's tales of the GMHI factory, Tom was sold. He gathered up a resume and went in the next morning. After signing dozens of papers and entering what he thought was a bit too much personal information into the company's computer, Tom was in. The system had determined that given his IQ as well as his mechanical and electrical abilities, that he would be most comfortable as an operator or technician. It was perfect. Tom was an electrical engineer major in college before dropping out to work instead. Over the years, he'd been tinkering with mechanics and electronics and sort of developed a knack for building and programming his own toys and robots. He had a radio-controlled lawnmower that he would show off to his neighbors by sitting in the shade with a cold drink while cutting his grass with a handheld remote. He had a small basement in his house that he named the Mad Lab, where he conducted experiments with prototype robot arms and legs as well as other electronic devices he would build from scrap metal and old discarded electronic devices. It was all just interesting and fun to him. It was mainly a hobby of his. It amazed him that the thought never crossed his mind that he could make a career of it. So there he was, standing at the front door, confident that he'd made a good choice. He nearly had to fight back tears of joy before walking into the front door. There was an overwhelming emotion that he was unfamiliar with. His wife told him this morning just how proud she was of him, and that she admired his courage to leave his last job and seek out more in life. The gentleman at the front door knew his name before he'd even entered the building. "Good morning, Tom. It's good to see you." Tom smiled, holding back tears that he would momentarily mistake for fear or sadness. This was a happy moment, though. At least he kept telling himself that. "Right this way, Tom." Another gentleman guided him down the long hall to his room where he would be sleeping at nights. He glanced back to see his smiling wife, waving with tears in her eyes, but offering an encouraging thumbs up. "I love you, sweetheart," she mouthed silently, her tears now bubbling from her eyes. "I love you too," he mouthed back, feeling a bit embarrassed at how childish the two of them were. It was just a job, a new career. And here we are, Tom. You just make yourself comfortable, relax, and call us if you need anything, okay? Sure, thank you, but I'll be fine. His workstation seemed a bit smaller than he'd expected. There was a bed, a television, a small desk, and a notepad. How wonderful. Your pills, Tom? The young man handed him a small cup of water and some pills, which he took and swallowed without hesitation. The door closed, and Tom turned a corner at the end of the room where he saw his machine. It was magnificent. There were gears and cogs, servos, pneumatic pistons, motions, sounds. He began tweaking buttons, turning knobs like a mad musician working on an enormous medieval pipe organ. The machine responded and groaned into action, pumping out various package materials. Staring through the window, Mary sobbed and placed her hand against the glass. She wished she could touch him just once more before she left. He was too busy turning his imaginary knobs and pushing certain spots on the white padded wall. He began doing that sort of thing more and more frequently over the last year and a half. There was some comfort to her knowing he would have the best care that Grant Medical Health Institute could offer. Yet that small comfort was shadowed by the inevitable truth that her beloved husband, her lifelong partner, was busy, and he would remain that way for a long time.